Brexit in the balance still. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has now threatened to scrap his attempt to pass the Brexit deal and move straight to an election if members of Parliament vote for another delay. Let's turn to the panel on this to discuss, because obviously we've all been watching this Brexit back and forth. How do we even... Actually, let's turn to London and Yahoo Finance's Edmund Heaphy with the latest on all of this. So what is the latest on all of this? It's hard to keep track.
It is very hard to keep track, Julie. The latest is that Prime Minister Boris Johnson has threatened to pull the legislation he has before Parliament if MPs reject it tonight. What we're waiting for is a first vote, which would basically approve Boris Johnson's Brexit deal in principle. And it's likely that he will get that passed based on current calculations and the confidence of 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's office. But then after that, there will be a second vote, what's known as a programme vote, which will basically decide the timeline for the approval of the next stages of the bill. Boris Johnson wants to railroad it through Parliament in about 3 days, but if that fails, the bill could be subject to weeks of parliamentary scrutiny. So if that happens, that's what Johnson is saying. He will pull the bill and he will actually move for a pre-Christmas general election. He said today in Parliament that I will in no way allow months more of this.
Edmund, we're watching it. I can't admit to totally understanding it, but we will keep an eye on it. Thank you very much. David, let me ask you this question. In the business community, because it seems as if in the United States, it's easy to say that's not really going to impact us. What are you hearing from people in your world about Brexit? Anything?
Well, it's very interesting. And we do, Equitech has offices all over the world. We do a lot of business in Europe and the UK. And we're hearing very little right now. And, what's very so interesting to me here is that it almost seems like it might sputter out into a much less volatile actual event than we thought. A year ago, there was a ton of doom and gloom. London was going to be impacted. Huge job losses and movement of the financial center to Europe, and it just feels like nobody's talking about it. My last visit to London was a few weeks ago, and I was asking people, "What's happening? Why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't we hearing more about this?" And it was sort of either resignation, refusal to deal with it, or just a feeling like, well, maybe it's all just going to peter out. And
this has been going on for so long that if you had exposure to Brexit, you basically have had time to get rid of your exposure, right? I mean, everybody who needed to protect themselves against Brexit probably has. So my question is, if this is not as bad, as tumultuous as expected, could the UK be a buy?
Well, you've seen that recently. You've seen some big deals go into UK companies where the pound has come down a little bit, and I think it's driving a fair amount of investment interest in the UK. It seems cheaper right now.
Investment in the UK. We've also seen property values in London have started to rebound.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.